What's up, Vegabomberlandians? It's your boy Vegabomber, and well, you know what I gotta do. If I do a non-spoiler version of Apocalypse, you know I have to do a spoiler version of Apocalypse. But before I do that though, I want to break my normal tradition of doing shout-outs at the end of the video and do them here at the front. So a special shout-out goes to some new subscribers, and that would be Ryan O'Toole, future filmmaker, and Richard at the Movies. Thanks guys, thanks for subbing, and I got your back. So spoiler version, once again, if you have not seen X-Men Apocalypse, go ahead right now, pause this mug, come back later, and then rewatch this Joker, or take it off pause and watch this Joker, and then you'll have some fun. But for now, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch any further. So let me talk about what I loved about this movie, because again, it's a superhero movie. It's one of my favorite genres of film, and this year we have what, 5 or 6 superhero movies coming out so far. We've had what, 3 come out. So we've had Deadpool, Batman v Superman, and Captain America Civil War, which to me at this point, Captain America Civil War was the best film. And now we have this one, X-Men Apocalypse. And this film, well, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's not nearly as bad as what the critics are saying. That 48% is a little suspect right about now. Because as I went in, I didn't feel like this movie was that bad. I didn't watch any of the trailers because that way I couldn't be spoiled and I could really enjoy the film for what it is. So when I went into this film, I had no idea that Wolverine was even in it because I didn't see any of the trailers, and I'm glad I didn't, because then that would have taken something out of it. But let's talk about what's great about this film. So what's great about this film, let me just start with some of the characterizations. You already know from watching the non-spoiler version that I love that whole play between Professor X and Magneto. And of course that just goes without saying, that's always the most solid piece of this film, and once again it was still here. But I also like to mention that I loved the origin story of Cyclops that was put in at the beginning. And Cyclops was absolutely cool. I think we have a great version of Cyclops now. I wasn't as big of a fan of the earlier Cyclops, but this Cyclops was good. So Ty Sheridan, you did a great job. And I like the idea that they showed the bully, right, picking on him. And then eventually he goes Scott Summers on him with that vision, and just starts tearing stuff up. I just love that, because isn't that what comic book movies are about, right? It's about the marginalized weakling person being attacked by somebody that's bigger and better, or whatever, in this case the jock, and then seeing the good guy, the marginalized person, overcome. I mean, that's Spider-Man. That was watching Batman get revenge after his parents got killed. I mean, this is just the secret sauce to comic book movies. And some might say, it's cliche by now, but no, it still worked. So I love that the introduction to Scott Summers, his origin, was incredible. And of course, his little relationship that they were beginning to show between him and Jean Grey, thumbs up. I liked seeing it. I liked seeing how that got started. And basically, how could I talk about Scott Summers without talking about Jean Grey? Jean Grey, yes, played by Sophie Turner, and she did a good job. Now, obviously, she wasn't given a whole lot to do, so I can't really say that she was super phenomenal or anything, but with what she was given, I thought she did well. It convinced me. And so Jean Grey, oh, yeah. Just the character itself is a great character, the way it's written up in the comic books, and I think that happened here. We got to see that realized here. I like the idea that she's someone that's struggling with her power, which very much should remind you of Scarlet Witch in Civil War, right? She was another person who was just trying to come within her own with these different powers, which their powers are kind of similar in some degree, which is interesting, at least in the cinematic universe. But I like the fact of seeing Jean Grey trying to figure out how to handle this, and when she has those dreams and she saw fire and she saw all this destruction and all this stuff, and then you know she has telekinesis. Yeah, I mean, I thought they played that up well. We understood a little bit about Jean Grey and a little bit about her powers, and of course that set us up for the great scene again at the end where she goes straight Phoenix. And when she did that and just let loose, and I loved how, you know, Professor X just said, "Let it loose, girl, just let it go, roll with it, be who you are, do you." And then she just went ahead and went blam, went all over Apocalypse with that Phoenix stuff. And I just, man, it was the deal. It was the deal. And also in this film you have Nightcrawler, and so Nightcrawler took a little bit for me to kind of get into. I like the original Nightcrawler, if I could only say his name right. And in this film, it took a minute to grow on me, but it got there for me. And basically, he's kind of the Ant-Man of this film, if you will. Yeah, I know I'm making a lot of Civil War analogies, but it's because I can see the parallels in so many different ways. And I know they're owned by two different, movie houses. One's owned by Fox, one's owned by Disney, but still, parallels still. And so, basically, Nightcrawler is the Ant-Man in this one. He's the comic relief, although he does have great superpowers just like Ant-Man. So that's kind of how I saw him. And as it went on, he grew on me. But let's talk about who really stole the show. Because y'all know who really stole the show. I mean, come on. We know it was Quicksilver. 2 Quicksilvers in the Marvel Universe that we've seen. This one is definitely the best version of Quicksilver. So his scene of him running around and saving all the mutants right as the house was blowing up, just illustrating how fast he was. And then just the humor that he used. The humor that he had was excellent. It was well-timed, well-placed. He's just a funny character. And by the way, I can see a bunch of people online saying, we need a Quicksilver movie. I can see why they'd say that, and I could understand it. So just something to think about, Fox. But Quicksilver was the jam. And I'll tell you another scene that Quicksilver was good in. I liked when he decided, hey, I'm going to go after Apocalypse. I'm going to go take him out. And I liked the fact that he at least showed some chutzpah, and he had some cojones, hit some balls, and he went after him. And so again, Apocalypse did what he should do. When you're that powerful, you should be able to stop a speedster, and he does. But you got to give Quicksilver points that he didn't just sit there and lay him out. He fought. He got up in that joint, and he made it happen. And of course, Oscar Isaac has the dubious role of trying to play a character that would just be goofy to play any other way. Just somebody with that's yelling for power and trying to rule the world, mustache twirl on this side, mustache twirl on this side. I mean, that's kind of hard to play this powerful, all-powerful villain who's in blue a lot, I could almost see it now. Oscar Isaac is running around with a sign going, Blue Lives Matter, yo. Come on, Nightcrawler. Come on, Beast. Come on, Mystique. Blue Lives Matter. Let's get together. You could almost see that. But no. But it would be silly. It would be really silly to try to play this character like if you did it like the way Apocalypse was covered in the cartoons. It just wouldn't translate in the cinematic universe. So Oscar Isaac had a tall task in front of him. And to me, I'm split on it. I think his performance was good. I just think what he was given to do was anticlimactic at the end when we really needed to see a huge climax. And the reason why we needed to see a huge climax in this film was because the first half was so good. It was so good. No, really. It was really good. So that's why we really needed to see this end up, the finale, be grand. It needed to be the coup de grace. It needed to be the deal. But that didn't quite happen. And I guess maybe now I'll use that as a segue to talk about the negatives. Oh, wait a minute. Well, yeah, Storm was in this. The actress, again, did a great job playing Storm. I like the look of Storm. I like everything. I'm not sure that she was... I know she was early on in her powers, but I don't know. She still seemed a little flat, but it wasn't the actress's fault. I think that goes more to the writing, but I was glad to see Storm. But I kind of thought she was underplayed a little bit. Somebody that can control the weather and send down storms, thought she would have had a bigger impact, but, that's okay. And so since I've already talked about that, let me go now to the cons. So, there's no such thing as a perfect movie. So even Star Wars, the original trilogy, has some mistakes in it, has some misgivings in it, some missteps. And so this movie, if we can critique the original trilogy in Star Wars, we can critique this movie, because Lord knows this film had a lot of issues, several issues in it. And I would just say the first part of it in terms of cons, and by the way, these cons, while I'm going to list them, it didn't stop me from enjoying the film. It's just that they were noticeable. So that's the main thing. These were kind of noticeable. After watching several superhero films, certain things you can pick up on pretty quickly. And so I would say that the characterization, first of all, for me, of the Four Horsemen seemed a little weak. Like, you expect that if Apocalypse is already, just BA, then you would expect his Four Horsemen would be too. And the only one I thought was BA was really Magneto. I would think that that Angel as Archangel didn't seem really all that, and he was written kind of flat. So the way he was written wasn't very good. How he was presented was okay, but what he did didn't add much, to the film. Of course, him and Havoc die, so we can give this film that. It will kill some people. Or did Havoc die? We never saw the body. I don't know. You can argue about that on the internet if you want. But I would say that the Four Horsemen just didn't seem to be, I don't know, like Apocalypse didn't need them, really. He was strong enough, really. If you can kill people with sand, why do you really need Four Horsemen? But, I digress. But to me, I just would have liked to have seen, the others is just as equally as BA as Magneto, but they just kind of weren't. And I know people could say, yeah, but Magneto's been Magneto longer. That's why, Bomber. I get that. But still, they still have powers, and it's still, their power's raw. And actually, that's scarier to know that you've got raw power that you can't control than powers that you can control in some instances. So I would have liked to have seen the Four Horsemen developed a little bit more. I mean, we got a little bit more on the new X-Men, but the Four Horsemen it was very light on what they could do and the development between them. I don't know. I would also say that the finale, the big finale is probably the biggest problem with this movie. You have somebody as strong as Apocalypse, you would think that you would have to do something dramatic to make everybody want to come at Apocalypse, and they missed that chance. They teased it. I feel like they could have very easily. And here's what I would have done. So if I was to rewrite this one scene in here, which I think would have made this movie way over the top, maybe even better than Civil War, is I think that Apocalypse, when he was choking Mystique, I think he should have killed her. I think at that moment, if he would have killed her, and then she fell to the ground, and then if he just stood over her mean mugging, and then if he looked up slow mean, like, children, you could put the little voice thing on there, do not disappoint me. Do not disobey me. Then you could show them turn around and pan and show them fighting each other, and they just stop. The X-Men just stop fighting each other because they're looking at her body laying on the ground, lifeless and dead. And they're thinking, hey, yo, she's still a mutant. She's still one of us. If you're willing to do that to her, why should we fight for you? And that should have been the thing. And then now what you would have as a better ending is you'd have Magneto, and you'd have Beast and Shylock and Storm, and all of them, and Professor X and Jean Grey, and all of them, Cyclops, all of them just concentrating their power on Apocalypse. That would make more sense instead of just, hey, look, I'm going to create a little dust devil here, and you can create a little dust devil there, and we're just going to sit here and do force fills and no. To see all of them grouped together like the way the Avengers did in the first Avengers to fight Loki and the Chitauri, that's what should have happened here, right? Now, some of you might be going, no, Bomber, please don't do that. Don't kill Mystique. Come on, it's comic book movies. Coulson isn't really dead. Mystique doesn't have to be dead for long. She could just stay dead long enough. But come on, these movies are time bending and everything else. You could go back in time and reset it and bring her back. I mean, come on, they could do it. It's a comic book movie. But the point is, you just needed some weight there. You needed to show that Apocalypse was not playing. Otherwise, he just looks like a crazy fool who just wants to rule the world. Rule the world. Rule the world. I'm going to destroy the world and start it all up again and see the survival of the fittest, and then only keep the people who can survive. They're very Darwinian, but it's like, all right, but who? Death. Death is the one thing in these movies that seem to be missing. So if you put an element of death in here, and I know you could say Havoc died, and you could say that Angel died, Archangel died, but if it's Mystique, a central character, a character that they look up to as a hero, that would be significant. And I think had you had that scene in there, and then had them play off of that, and use their powers to come together to do that, this movie probably could have been better than Civil War. But I don't know, that's just me. Those are just my thoughts. You tell me, what did you think? Was this movie great? Was this movie kind of or was this movie sorry? But you tell me in the comments below where this movie ranked in terms of all the superhero movies for you. As far as I'm concerned, at least where the X-Men movies are concerned, my number one is still going to be X2. My number two is still going to be First Class. My number three is going to be Days of Future Past. And then maybe this one probably falls in there fourth, maybe. I don't know. I still haven't thought about it. Maybe I need to see this movie again. But anyway, it's your boy Vegabomber letting you know that's what I thought of X-Men Apocalypse. And now it's time for me to blow up and blow out of here.